In Romans 8:31 in the Christian Bible, it says, if God is for you, who can be against you? And I know that all of you have heard me say many times in here that God is for you, therefore life is for you. Do you ever forget that, though? Do you ever feel like your neighbor is against you? You know, when your next door neighbor is really difficult or doesn't want to get along or does something that you don't like cuts your tree or your bushes or plays their music too loud or something like that? Or do you ever feel like your coworker is against you because she doesn't say hello to you in the morning or doesn't speak to you or is really critical of the work that you do? Or perhaps maybe it's your boss that you feel like is against you because he micromanages what it is that you do and then takes credit for the work that you do. Or maybe it's your mother or your spouse who is crabby and who yells at you. Or maybe it's a whole group of people. Maybe it's the Republicans or the Democrats who are against you, or the right-wingers or the left-wingers, or the white people or the rich people or whatever. Maybe it's a whole group that you feel like is against you. And so then how can it be true then that nothing is against you and that life is for you and that God is for you? It is only from that very limited human ego perspective that we feel like something is against us or someone is against us or something opposes us, because our ego self is wholly concerned with feeling safe and being comfortable. Our ego self wants every situation to feel easy and to feel familiar and comfortable and predictable and easy to move through. Our ego wants always to be liked and to be approved of by everybody. Did I mention that ego self wants everything to be comfortable? Comfortable and easy? But you know what? That is not what your spirit is up to. That is not what your spirit is up to. And we are primarily spiritual beings here on earth having a human experience. And one of the reasons that we are here is to discover our own spiritual magnificence, to discover who and what we are, to discover our own wholeness and our own power and our own authority and our own authenticity, our own wholeness and completeness. We are here to then experience those things in a concrete, a material, a physical way that we can't experience when we're just in the realm of spirit. And so I know that on an ego level and on a spiritual level, we want to feel whole. We want to experience and feel our own wholeness. We want to feel centered and grounded as we go through life. We want to know that all is well and that we are okay and that we are safe. The problem is, though, when we wholly and solely look through those eyes of the ego, when that's the only eyes and the only lens that we're looking through, then we think that people and events are against us. And when we think that people and events are against us, then we feel like a victim. And when we feel like a victim, then we want to make them wrong, they are the bad guy, and it's all about what they're doing. It's all about what they're doing, and it's all about the story. We want to make it about them, and we want to make it about the story. But you know what? It's never about them. And it's never about the story. It is always about us, because it is always for us. And so Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of this philosophy, says, we should never lose sight of the fact that the soul is on the pathway of endless and ever-expanding experience, and that only by expansion can it evolve. And so I've been reading this week the book, The Eye of the Storm. And in this book, he talks about that. First, I have to find which marker it is in here. He says, our resistance and defensiveness arise out of those parts of ourselves that are not connected to our wholeness. How else is it possible to feel threatened or afraid? We can only have these feelings because some part of us is not connected to the truth of our being. The only reason we feel threatened by something out there, afraid of someone out there, is because we have forgotten what we are. We have forgotten who we are. We aren't connected to that truth of our being. And so he tells a story about that. And he says, Linda, a shy and insecure junior executive of an investment firm, hated her job, but felt obligated to endure its drudgery because she needed the money. She often felt threatened by her boss. His manner was abrupt and condescending. One day, she inadvertently offended a client who demanded that she be fired. Her boss, as expected, accused her of incompetence and demanded that she appease the client and do whatever it took to get the account back. The enormity of the situation caused Lynn to retreat into despair. She feared losing her job and the security it provided. But even more, she dreaded the prospect of meeting face to face the person who had it in for her. The situation placed Linda at the edge of her resourcefulness. She didn't feel safe. She didn't know what to do or how she could possibly manage meeting with this client. She knew her boss would be there, looming over her shoulder, ready to cut her loose the moment she failed to make it right. Linda realized that this was not the first time she felt threatened or in a situation that seemed overwhelming. The situation was reminiscent of 2 failed marriages that brought her to a similar crossroad in search for her own wholeness. She knew the pattern well, knew that beneath the details which made the situation unique, the same story was unfolding. She was searching for some missing piece. She was missing a connection with her own wholeness. Moments before, she prayed for strength. She asked God, what resources do I need in order to be in this experience without feeling diminished? It occurred to her that what she was missing was a true appreciation of her own worth. She remembered a time when she saved a boy's life in a house fire and how grateful the child's parents were for her heroic efforts. She reflected on this and other occasions when she knew her presence mattered and when she had made a difference in others' lives. As she entered the meeting room, Linda took a leap of faith off the edge of adversity. She demanded an apology from the client for his insensitivity and from her boss for his lack of appreciation and trust in her abilities. Not only did she stand up for herself, Linda gave herself what she had always sought from others, affirmation. And while she lost her job, did you hear that? And while she lost her job, not only did she gain a real connection with her own dignity, she moved on to discover her passion for community service and became a paramedic. There's a bigger picture happening here. He goes on to say, the soul's top priority is to bring one into relationship with those aspects of self that live outside of wholeness and a sense of authentic being. That was taking her to a place of discovering her own wholeness, of discovering her own power, of living a truly authentic life with what was important to her. And so the truth is, life is a spiritual path. And your life is your spiritual path. Everything in your life is your spiritual path. All of it. The good and the bad and the easy and the joyous and the challenging, all of it is part of your spiritual path. And everything, all of it serves your unfolding. All of it serves your awakening. All of it serves the unfolding of your spirit and the unfolding of your greater self and the discovery of that and the giving way to that. All of it serves that. That's how I can say then that everything is for you and that nothing is against you. Everything is for you. The ending of that relationship that was so difficult is for you. The job that didn't work out is for you. The accident that you had in your car is for you, as well as the celebration of your own graduation from college and your marriage and having kids and the new grandbabies. All of it is for your own self-discovery and your own unfolding, your own greater yet to be. And so the title of my talk today is Ease on Down the Road. The road that I'm talking about is the path that you are walking all of the time. And we ease on down that road and we ease on down that path when we remember and consciously know that God is for us, and therefore life is for us, and therefore no thing is against us. That enables us to ease on down the road in a much greater way than when we see ourselves as victims or think that life is somehow against us. And so I look at my own life and the conflicts that I've had in my life and the difficulties that I have had in my life, and I really do live from that perspective that life is for me. And I know that I have shared stories with you over the years about my next door neighbor, Al, and the problems that I've had with him. So if you don't know, his MO is to be a bully. His MO is to be intimidating and to shake his finger at me and make me wrong and to make himself big. And absolutely, he has pushed my buttons so many times. And I am also absolutely clear that it is not about him. It is absolutely about me. And it is absolutely about me standing in my own wholeness, knowing my own enoughness, standing in my own power, because when I know that I am whole, there is nothing he can do or nothing he can take from me. When I am standing in my own power, it doesn't matter what he says or what he does or how he acts. I stand firm in my enoughness, and it's okay, and it can just be a conversation. And he can do whatever it is that he needs to do. When I'm anchored in my wholeness, what's out there doesn't matter. And so in this book, The Eye of the Storm, he says, fear is only possible when you don't feel connected to your sense of wholeness and worth, and when you forget that God is in this situation. God is always in every situation that you find yourselves in. God is always within you and all around you and within you as whatever particular resource you are needing in that moment. That infinite presence is right there as your own wholeness, as your own insight and clarity of thought, as your own wisdom, as the perfect words to say, as your own peace that isn't disturbed by outside circumstances, as the love within you that is not disturbed by outside circumstances. That presence is always right where you are. But you know what? It turns to us as we turn to it. We have to look within to discover that wholeness, or that enoughness, or that power, or that wisdom, or that clarity. It's right here. Knock, and you shall receive. Knock inside. And so, like I said earlier too, there is always something bigger at play. Every time you find yourself in a situation that seems difficult or that seems challenging, there is always something bigger at play. And that thing that is at play is your unfolding, your self-discovery. You're discovering something greater about yourself that you did not yet know or own or embody, that is knocking from the inside to come out. So I have a question for you. Is there somewhere in your life right now where you are experiencing or having conflict? Somewhere or with someone? And if there isn't something right now, is there some recent situation where you've just experienced conflict? or challenge like that? And if there isn't, is there somewhere you are anticipating having conflict? So hold that in your mind for a moment. And actually, I'm going to ask you some questions. And if you need a pen, will you raise your hand? And Barbara's going to give you a pen because I'm going to have you write this down. And you have an insert in your bulletin that you can write on. The back of it says notes, the white sheet. All right, so I invite you to close your eyes. And to just remember that thing that just came to mind about the conflict in your life. And so what I want you to do now, though, is to think about the last time that you felt totally confident. The last time that you felt confident, like you were in your own power, and that you felt whole. What were the circumstances? And so see yourself there and feel what that felt like to feel confident in that moment. To feel your own authentic power. See yourself and feel what that feels like, what that felt like. And now imagine the situation where you feel threatened, the place where you're having conflict. And pretend that in this situation, you are confident. Pretend in this situation that you are whole instead of defensive or fearful. Imagine how you might relate to this situation or this person differently. And so I invite you to ask yourself this question. What inner resources do I need to activate or to bring forward in this situation? What inner resources do I need to activate or to bring forward in this situation? And when you come up with your answer, to write that down. And when you're done, to close your eyes again. And turning back within to that place of absolute wisdom and wholeness and oneness inside, to ask yourself, What resources do I need to activate or bring forward to manage threatening situations better? What inner resources do I need to activate or bring forward to manage threatening situations better? And to write that down. And then to turn within one last time. And turning back to that center of your being. And asking, what does my soul want me to know? What does my soul want me to know? And you may open your eyes. That is what is seeking to be discovered. That is what is seeking to be made real within you and within your life. That is the greater that is seeking to unfold through you. That is you. The difficulties and the conflicts are midwife to your greater self. And so my invitation to you this week is to know that life is for you, to know that God is for you, and therefore no thing is against you. No situation or circumstance or person is against you. To know that everything is for your self-discovery, for discovering who you really are, your core essential nature, as an incarnation of that absolute and infinite presence that is boundless, that is absolute infinite potential. It's discovering that within you. To know that you already possess every single thing that you need within you already. And that life is beckoning you for discovering that greater self. And so practice centering yourself on a regular basis, stopping and breathing and turning within and finding your center so that you aren't so pulled about by the chaos of life and the things that happen. And so when you find yourself being pulled around, you can stop and breathe and find your center again. Commune with that infinite presence within you. Through meditation, through being in silence, through journaling so you can get out all the problems and what's going on and how difficult it is so you can get to the place of stillness and wisdom within you. Because it takes getting all that stuff out first before you can get calm and centered and find that wisdom inside of you. And ask yourself often that question, what is it that's seeking to be revealed through me here and now? In the quietness of your own soul, ask that question because that's what you're up to. That's what you're up to, your soul on this path. And as a result, you'll be moving through the challenges of your own life with such greater ease. You'll be experiencing more peace. You'll be experiencing your wholeness to a greater degree. You'll be uncovering that which has been there all the time, your own greater yet to be. And so blessings to each and every single one of you on this path of self-discovery, on this path of unfolding your most magnificent life and your most magnificent self. Blessings to all of you. And so I invite you right now to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so we just take this moment to turn from this world of appearances, this material realm, and instead we turn our attention to that infinite but invisible realm of the divine, that infinite and invisible realm of spirit, that which permeates all of things, all of time and all of space with its beingness, that presence of the infinite. That thing that we call God or Buddha mind or Krishna or the absolute Brahman life, the universe, whatever you choose to call it, it is the same one presence and one power and one life and one beingness, for there is only this one. And it is expressing itself as all things. That which was before time began, and that which is unto and past the ends of the universe. That absolute, infinite good. That life that is living itself out through us. And so I recognize that it is that expresses itself as our wisdom. It is that presence that leads us and guides us on this path. And it is that presence within our hearts and our souls that speaks as and unfolds as our own spiritual magnificence, our own infinite potentiality, our own good. And so I know today that that presence is indeed leading us and guiding us on this pathway of life, that it is unfolding itself as our most magnificent self, that it is expressing within our hearts and our minds as peace, and as the truth of our own wholeness, that wholeness that can never be touched or marred or injured, that wholeness that is the truth of being. That presence expresses within us as our power, as our anchoredness, as the truth that all is well, here and now. And so today we are open to that inflow and that outflow out from the center of our being into our lives. And as we open ourselves to it, it pours out as a blessing that is so magnificent that we could not possibly contain it all. And so I give thanks for the truth of this one. I give thanks for this awakening that is happening within every single one of us. And I give thanks for the gift that it is in our own lives and the gift that we become in the world as we wake up to that one. And so it is with that gratitude that I release this prayer into that infinite law of the universe, knowing that it is absolutely unfolding itself right now. Good without bounds, peace beyond comprehension, and a good that permeates everything. And so I release this prayer in absolute gratitude, and I say, and so it is.